Most people lose the moment someone decides to play dirty with them. Not because they are weak, and not because they lack intelligence. They lose because they are still trying to play a clean game in a situation that was never clean to begin with. The moment manipulation enters the room, most people respond in one of two ways. They either react emotionally, or they cling even harder to being morally perfect. And both reactions give the advantage away instantly. Here is the uncomfortable truth most people never want to hear. The world does not punish manipulation nearly as often as it punishes naivety. And the people who keep getting outmaneuvered are rarely foolish. In fact, many of them are good people, honest people, principled people, but they are principled without strategy, honest without awareness, and decent inside environments that reward perception, timing, and leverage. And that is exactly where the thinking of Niccolò Machiavelli becomes powerful. But before we go further, pause for a moment and really think about this. Have you ever noticed how the people who play dirty almost never look aggressive? They don't explode. They don't threaten. They don't storm into the room announcing their intentions. Instead, they smile. They stay patient. They watch. And while everyone else is speaking, reacting, explaining, or defending themselves, they are studying. They are studying your reactions. They are studying what bothers you. They are studying what you care about. And most people never even realize it's happening. If you're someone who wants to understand how power and psychology actually work in the real world, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now, because the ideas we break down here are not about becoming ruthless. They're about becoming aware. And awareness is the one advantage manipulation can't easily touch. Now here's the part most people miss about Machiavellian thinking. Machiavelli was never teaching people to become cruel monsters. That's a shallow interpretation people repeat because it sounds dramatic. What he was really teaching was far more practical and far more uncomfortable. He was teaching people how to stop being blind. He understood something centuries ago that many people still struggle to accept today. Power rarely announces itself. Manipulation almost never looks aggressive. And danger almost never raises its voice. The most dangerous players in any environment are often the calmest people in the room. They don't rush. They don't argue unnecessarily. They don't waste energy proving themselves. Instead, they let others reveal themselves first, because they understand a simple psychological truth. Most people expose their own weaknesses without being asked. They do it when they over-explain. They do it when they react emotionally. They do it when they desperately want to be understood. They do it when they want to be liked, when they want to be seen as fair, when they need everyone around them to know they are a good person. And while all of that is happening, the person playing strategically is simply collecting information. Machiavelli noticed something that still holds true today. The fastest way to lose power is to assume everyone around you is operating under the same rules you are. Because people who play dirty rarely break rules loudly. They bend context quietly. They rarely attack your strengths directly. Instead, they position themselves around your expectations. They rely on your hesitation. They rely on your belief that fairness will eventually sort things out. And while you're still deciding how to respond properly, they've already moved the board. Now listen carefully, because this is important. This conversation is not about becoming heartless. It's not about lying, cheating, or turning into the type of person you dislike. It's about thinking clearly in moments when other people hope you won't. Because refusing to acknowledge manipulation does not make you noble. It makes you predictable. Machiavelli believed that survival in difficult environments requires perception before morality, not the abandonment of values, but the protection of them. Because if someone is willing to manipulate situations, twist context, or exploit hesitation, the problem is not that they are stronger than you. The problem is that they understand psychology, timing, and human behavior in ways most people were never trained to recognize. But once you start seeing what they see, something interesting happens. You stop reacting. You stop over-explaining. You stop wasting emotional energy in places where it is being quietly harvested. You begin moving differently. And that is exactly what this video is about. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn 7 powerful Machiavellian principles that change how you think when other people start playing dirty around you. Not so you can dominate them. Not so you can destroy them, but so you become mentally unreachable. By the time you reach the end of this video, you won't feel angrier. You'll feel calmer, clearer, and much harder for anyone to manipulate. But before we go deeper, I want you to write something in the comments right now. This simple sentence signals a mindset shift. I choose awareness over reaction. Type it below, because the moment you stop reacting automatically, you start seeing what others miss. And the first principle begins with one of the biggest mistakes good people make when they try to understand others. Most people ask the wrong question. They ask, what did that person mean? But Machiavelli would say that question is almost useless. Meaning is invisible. Incentives are not. Meaning lives inside someone's head. You can guess it, debate it, or argue about it for hours, but you can never truly see it. Incentives, however, are visible. They live in outcomes, advantages, and patterns of behavior. And when someone begins playing dirty, incentives reveal far more truth than intentions ever will. Most people try to understand behavior by analyzing tone. They listen carefully to how something was said. They search for sincerity. They try to decide whether the other person meant well. While this is happening, the person playing strategically is not focused on tone at all. They are focused on results. They are tracking leverage, timing, opportunity, and advantage. This difference in perspective is exactly where control quietly shifts. People who think emotionally are trying to interpret meaning. People who think strategically are measuring outcomes. And outcomes never lie for very long. Machiavelli observed that human behavior rarely follows virtue. It follows reward. People repeat what benefits them. They abandon what costs them. And in between, they construct explanations that make their actions appear reasonable. This is why so many manipulative individuals appear calm and convincing. They are not defending morality. They are defending advantage. Dirty players understand something most people overlook. They do not need to win arguments. They only need to position themselves where outcomes favor them, regardless of the conversation. They don't need to lie loudly. They simply create situations where silence benefits them more than honesty. They don't need to confront you directly. They just need confusion to slow you down long enough for them to move first. While you are asking why something happened, they are already planning what happens next. This is one of the main reasons good people are often caught off guard. They believe intentions explain behavior. So when something harmful happens, they search for misunderstanding rather than motive. They replay conversations in their mind. They look for something they might have misinterpreted. They assume clarity will restore balance. But dirty players count on that delay. The more time you spend searching for emotional explanations, the more time they have to solidify their position. Machiavelli would suggest ignoring explanations entirely for a moment and asking a much sharper question. What does this situation reward? If someone benefits from your patience, they will encourage patience. If someone benefits from your silence, they will praise restraint. If someone gains advantage from confusion, they will never rush to clarify things. Once you start observing interactions through incentives rather than intentions, patterns appear very quickly. You begin noticing who cooperates only when they are being watched. You notice who becomes vague when accountability gets close. You notice who speaks about fairness only when they are already ahead. None of this requires confrontation. It only requires quiet observation. One of Machiavelli's most subtle warnings was about reacting too quickly. The moment you react emotionally, you begin teaching other people how to manage you. Your reactions reveal what matters most to you. Your frustrations reveal your pressure points. Your need for reassurance reveals where you feel uncertain. Someone who is paying attention will store that information carefully, and they will use it later. Instead of reacting immediately, step back mentally and allow behavior to continue long enough to reveal its direction. Watch what remains consistent when politeness fades. Watch what people repeat when there is no audience to impress. Watch how someone behaves when praise, pressure, or advantage enters the situation. Incentives do not improvise. They repeat. This is why Machiavellian thinking values patience over purity. Purity rushes to judgment before the entire situation becomes visible. Patience allows behavior to expose itself over time. The moment you stop assuming everyone shares your values, your perspective changes dramatically. Not because you become cynical, but because you become accurate. You stop needing emotional closure. You stop demanding honesty from people who benefit from ambiguity. You stop expecting fairness from people who gain advantage through imbalance. And something even more powerful begins to happen. Once you clearly see incentives, the emotional charge disappears. You stop taking everything personally. You stop feeling attacked every time someone behaves strategically. Instead of feeling offended, you simply feel informed. And that calm state is far more powerful than most people realize. Because when you are calm, you do not argue about motives. You adjust access. You do not debate fairness. You change your position. You do not rush to expose what you see. You allow behavior to reveal itself long enough for the pattern to become undeniable. Machiavelli never said you should trust no one. His thinking was far more practical than that. What he emphasized was understanding first and engaging later. When you stop asking whether someone is a good person and start asking what their behavior rewards, confusion begins to disappear. And the moment confusion disappears, control quietly returns. Write this in the comments if you understand the shift. I read incentives, not stories, because the second principle begins exactly where the first one ends. Most people try to control situations after they have already begun. They focus on decisions, arguments, and outcomes. But Machiavelli would say that by the time outcomes are being discussed, the real battle has already passed. Real influence is established earlier, much earlier. It begins with something most people overlook completely: access. Access is one of the most underestimated forms of power in human interaction. Most people try to influence results directly. They argue decisions. They negotiate conclusions. They try to change someone's mind once a situation is already unfolding. But by that point, the structure of the interaction is already set. The real influence was determined earlier, at the level of access. Who gets your time? Who gets your attention? Who gets emotional proximity? People who understand power rarely fight over outcomes first. They quietly decide who is allowed close enough to affect those outcomes. Dirty players understand this instinctively. They do not start by challenging your decisions. They start by securing familiarity. They create casual conversations, frequent check-ins, unnecessary discussions disguised as friendly engagement. It feels harmless, even polite, but every moment of easy access gives them information: your tone, your schedule, your stress patterns, your reactions. And the more access someone has, the more accurately they can predict you. This is where many good people make a critical mistake. They assume availability equals kindness. They believe staying open, responsive, and constantly reachable makes them cooperative and trustworthy. In reality, it often makes them exposed. Access is not neutral. Access is currency. Every time someone can reach you instantly, they are collecting data about you, whether you realize it or not. Machiavelli understood something very simple, but very powerful. People treat you according to how reachable you are, not according to how valuable you are. When access is constant, respect slowly erodes. When access requires intention, behavior sharpens. This is why manipulative personalities push for familiarity early. They encourage frequent conversations. They normalize constant communication. They frame boundaries as distance or arrogance. But none of this is accidental. The easier it becomes to reach you, the easier it becomes to influence you. You can see this everywhere. At work, where people bypass formal channels and approach you casually. In friendships where emotional oversharing becomes normal before real trust exists. In negotiations where someone insists on quick conversations instead of structured discussion. Each of these lowers the cost of interaction. And when interaction becomes cheap, pressure becomes easy. Machiavelli's solution was not confrontation. It was quiet adjustment. You don't announce new boundaries. You introduce friction. You shorten conversations. You delay responses. You remove unnecessary engagement. You normalize selectivity. This subtle shift changes the entire dynamic. When access is no longer automatic, people begin regulating themselves. They choose their words more carefully. Their requests become clearer. Their behavior becomes more deliberate. Because now interaction with you requires intention instead of habit. Manipulative individuals dislike this change immediately. Why? Because access gives them feedback. Without feedback, they cannot easily adjust their tactics. And without constant interaction, they lose their ability to study you. Many people resist limiting access because they fear it will make them appear cold or arrogant. But dirty players rely on that fear. They frame openness as confidence and restraint as insecurity. Machiavelli saw the illusion clearly. Confidence does not require constant engagement. Authority does not require constant explanation. Strength does not require constant presence. By controlling access, you reverse the flow of effort. Instead of you investing attention into everyone around you, others begin investing effort to reach you. They prepare before speaking. They become more direct. They reveal their priorities faster, and suddenly the dynamic flips. But there is another form of access even more important than time: emotional access. Time gives people information about your behavior. Emotion gives them leverage over your reactions. Once someone can reliably influence how you feel, they can predict how you will respond. Anger, excitement, insecurity, enthusiasm, disappointment. Each emotion becomes a signal, and signals become maps. Machiavelli would advise guarding emotional access more carefully than information itself. Facts can be corrected, but once someone understands your emotional triggers, that knowledge becomes extremely powerful. This does not mean suppressing emotion completely. It means keeping emotion private until trust has been proven. You do not process frustration publicly. You do not vent upward in hierarchies. You do not resolve internal struggles while observers are watching. Because the moment your internal state becomes visible, someone paying attention can begin shaping it. When emotional access remains controlled, decisions remain yours. Something interesting happens when people realize they cannot reach you instantly. Some become respectful. Some become impatient. Some reveal entitlement they previously hid. And every reaction tells you something valuable. Restricting access is not punishment. It is filtration. The people who adapt respectfully earn proximity. The people who push harder reveal their intentions. Machiavelli believed power increases when dependency decreases. The less others rely on your constant availability, the more deliberate every interaction becomes. The goal is not isolation. The goal is selective exposure. Once you decide who gets access, when they get it, and how deep that access goes, outcomes stop surprising you. You are no longer pulled into situations. You step into them prepared. And that leads directly to the third principle, one that makes manipulative people deeply uncomfortable. Because most people feel an overwhelming urge to finish every conversation, clarify every misunderstanding, and close every interaction neatly. But strategic thinkers do something very different. They stay unfinished. Most people feel a strong psychological need to finish things. They want clarity. They want conversations to feel resolved. They want misunderstandings cleaned up and tension removed. It feels natural, even responsible, to close every loop. But Machiavelli would tell you something uncomfortable. The urge to complete every interaction is not strength. It is a vulnerability. Dirty players understand this instinct very well. They know that most people cannot tolerate uncertainty for long. So they introduce just enough tension to trigger your need for resolution. Once that need activates, you start explaining yourself. You start clarifying intentions. You start offering reassurance and context, not because it benefits you, but because the unfinished feeling becomes uncomfortable. And the moment you begin filling that silence, information begins leaking out. An unfinished posture does something powerful. It keeps the situation open while the other person exposes themselves. When someone cannot clearly read your interpretation of events, they become uncertain. Uncertainty makes people talk. They clarify things you never asked about. They justify decisions you never questioned. They reveal motivations you never demanded to hear. Machiavelli understood something very simple. about human psychology. People speak the most when they are unsure where they stand. Silence invites projection, and projection reveals intention. When you remain partially unreadable, the other person begins filling the space themselves. This does not mean being passive. It means practicing strategic restraint. Manipulative individuals expect two kinds of responses: reaction or resistance. They prepare arguments for both, but they rarely prepare for ambiguity. When they cannot tell what you are thinking, they begin improvising, and improvisation exposes cracks. Staying unfinished means resisting the urge to correct every misunderstanding immediately. If someone misinterprets you, and the misunderstanding does not harm your position, let it exist for a moment. Their next move will tell you whether the confusion is innocent or convenient for them. Machiavelli valued delayed clarity because it reveals patterns. A single moment reveals nothing. Repeated behavior reveals everything. When you close conversations too quickly, you erase valuable data. Many people reveal too much simply because they want to be understood accurately. Dirty players exploit this desire by misinterpreting things deliberately. They know you will rush to correct the narrative, and while correcting it, you reveal your priorities, boundaries, and emotional investment. Instead of correcting immediately, allow the interpretation to exist for a while. Observe how the other person behaves when they believe they have the advantage. Watch what they repeat. Watch what they escalate. Watch what they become comfortable revealing when they think you have not noticed. An unfinished posture also protects your own flexibility. When you do not publicly lock yourself into a clear stance too early, you remain free to reassess privately. Machiavelli understood that premature certainty limits options. Once you declare a position publicly, reversing it becomes costly. People defend statements long after they stop believing them simply because their reputation is attached to them. Remaining unfinished keeps your internal space open while others commit themselves through their actions. Another interesting effect begins to appear when you stop chasing closure. People who are used to controlling situations begin feeling unsettled. They try harder to force a conclusion. They push for answers. They demand clarity. They frame delays as avoidance or weakness. But their discomfort is not about clarity. It is about leverage. When you refuse to complete the interaction on their timeline, the leverage disappears. The person pushing for resolution begins revealing impatience, frustration, or hidden intentions. Every reaction gives you more information. This does not mean avoiding resolution forever. It means choosing the moment carefully. Resolution should happen when it benefits you, not when someone else demands it. Machiavelli believed that power belongs to the person who allows others to commit first. When the other person invests more words, more actions, and more statements before you do, they reduce their own flexibility. You gain room, and something subtle begins changing in how people perceive you. When you stop explaining everything immediately, people stop assuming they understand you easily. They become more careful with their words. They think twice before making assumptions. Predictability begins to disappear. Many people believe total openness builds trust instantly. Machiavelli would argue the opposite. Measured opacity builds respect first. Trust is built slowly through consistent behavior over time, not through instant transparency. Let conversations breathe. Let situations unfold. Let people reveal themselves without interruption. You do not need to dominate every discussion. You do not need to resolve every tension. You do not need to finish what benefits from remaining open. When you resist the pressure to close every loop, you stop being controlled by urgency. You shift into the role of observer, and observers decide outcomes. Write this in the comments if this idea makes sense to you. I don't rush closure, because the next principle explains why emotional control is one of the most powerful forms of protection you can develop. Manipulative people are not searching for truth. They are searching for reaction. Manipulative people are not searching for truth. They are searching for reaction. Most people believe that expressing emotion openly proves honesty and authenticity. It feels natural to show frustration when something feels unfair, to show excitement when something feels promising, or to show anger when someone crosses a line. But Machiavelli understood something very different. Emotion does not just express feeling. It reveals position. Every visible emotional shift becomes a signal to anyone paying attention. Frustration shows where pressure works. Excitement shows where desire lives. Defensiveness shows where insecurity might hide. None of this requires interrogation. It appears automatically when emotion leads behavior, and experienced manipulators know exactly how to watch for it. This is why they rarely push conversations directly toward facts. Instead, they steer discussions toward feelings. Because once emotion surfaces, control becomes easier. Logic begins bending. Timing accelerates. Decisions become rushed. Emotion narrows perception. Machiavelli recognized that emotional visibility removes ambiguity, and ambiguity is protection. Neutrality works like camouflage. When your reactions remain measured, others struggle to locate leverage. They probe, they test, they exaggerate certain topics to see if anything moves you. And every attempt reveals more about them than about you. The mistake many people make is believing neutrality means indifference. It does not. It means discipline. You can care deeply about something without broadcasting that care to everyone watching. You can feel strongly without allowing those feelings to guide every visible reaction. When manipulative individuals cannot clearly read your emotional landscape, their certainty begins to weaken. They start escalating. They repeat arguments louder. They sharpen their tone. They exaggerate importance in an attempt to provoke something. But this escalation is not confidence. It is disorientation. Machiavelli observed that the person revealing less emotional information controls the tempo of the interaction. The person revealing more begins chasing stability. And when someone begins chasing stability, they have already surrendered a portion of their control. Neutrality also protects you from narrative traps. When you react emotionally, others can frame you easily. Angry, defensive, sensitive, difficult. These labels spread quickly because emotional reactions support them. But when your tone remains calm and measured, labels struggle to stick. Observers cannot easily assign motive when emotion is absent. And without motive, judgment stalls. Another powerful benefit of emotional containment is internal clarity. When reactions are paused instead of immediately expressed, perception sharpens. You notice contradictions more easily. You see when words and behavior stop aligning. You catch timing patterns others miss. Machiavelli valued this internal separation deeply. Feeling does not disappear. It is simply delayed. And that delay protects your decision-making. Many people confuse emotional honesty with instant expression. But instant expression creates predictability. Predictability simplifies manipulation. Neutrality interrupts that cycle. It does not mean acting like a machine. It means responding proportionally instead of impulsively. Calm when agitation is expected. Quiet when provocation is offered. Minimal when explanation is demanded. These unexpected responses force others to adjust. Watch carefully when someone realizes they cannot provoke you. Some will become cautious. Some will lose interest entirely. Some will escalate recklessly, exposing intentions they would normally hide. Every reaction becomes information. Machiavelli believed the safest position is one that offers no clear emotional handle. Without handles, pressure slips. And when pressure slips repeatedly, manipulative people usually move on to easier targets. Over time, neutrality changes how people approach you. Your words carry more weight because they are not diluted by emotional noise. Your silence feels intentional instead of uncertain. Your presence feels grounded rather than reactive. People begin preparing before interacting with you, not because you demanded it, but because uncertainty creates respect. Some people fear that emotional restraint will make them appear distant. Manipulative personalities often encourage this fear because visible emotion gives them access. But what is protected cannot be exploited. Neutrality also buys time. You are not refusing, you're processing. You're not disengaging, you're observing. And observation is where strategic advantage begins. When emotional containment becomes habit, manipulators lose interest. The cost of probing rises. The payoff disappears. Effort moves somewhere else. And that is the quiet victory most people never realize they can achieve. You do not defeat manipulative people by fighting louder than them. You defeat them by becoming harder to read, harder to rush, and harder to move. Now think about everything you heard in this video. You learned that power is not about aggression. It is about perception. It is about understanding incentives before believing explanations. It is about controlling access instead of chasing outcomes. It is about staying unfinished long enough for patterns to reveal themselves. And it is about protecting your emotional signals so others cannot map your reactions. None of this requires cruelty. None of this requires deception. It requires awareness. And awareness changes the way you move through the world. If this perspective made you think differently even for a moment, write this in the comments. I choose awareness over reaction. Because the more people who understand these principles, the harder it becomes for manipulation to thrive. And if you found this valuable, share this video with someone who still believes good intentions alone are enough protection in a world that often rewards strategy. Stay sharp, stay aware, and remember, the most powerful move is often the one nobody sees coming.